It's 2020. It's the second half of 2020. Recently, a whole bunch of new cameras, amazing cameras, have been released, and I just bought my first full frame camera, but it's not one of the new ones. Welcome back, guys, to another video. My name is Sam Johnson. Today, I want to talk about my first full frame camera that I just recently bought, why I bought it, what I like about it so far, and why I didn't buy one of the brand new amazing cameras that have just been released. I was following along with all the rumors and updates and stuff like that since back in the new year about the R5 coming out, and then maybe the R6 and stuff like that. 1DX Mark III, those things. I'm a Canon shooter, so those were the kind of the cameras I was following. When they were released, they all looked amazing. The R5 and R6. The R5, people could get it sooner, but I ended up pre-ordering the R6 because I thought the R5 for what I do would be overkill. The extra money wasn't worth it to me, so I thought, okay, R6 seems like it does everything I would need and more. Seems like an awesome camera, but so I placed my pre-order, and after about a week of thinking about it more, I kind of realized that there's different issues surfacing with the R5 and R6 as far as overheating goes and that kind of thing. Even with the R6, even though it doesn't shoot 8K, things like that, there were still overheating problems with the 4K modes and stuff like that. I didn't want to buy a camera that hadn't been tested extensively yet and used a lot for a period of time by people who are unbiased. And so I ended up calling up the company or emailing the company I pre-ordered from, and I said, I'm going to cancel my pre-order, because I think I might decide on something else. And so, yeah, I ended up deciding to purchase the EOS R, which this camera had so much hate when it first came out. It was one of those, like, it was talked about as Canon's kind of like a safety almost, as it was the camera in between. They needed something, they need to release something mirrorless to kind of pacify creative people who wanted a mirrorless camera from Canon until they could actually come out with something a little more on par with the competition. So the R5 and R6, which had just been released, is probably what they had been working on. But this was kind of just to kind of pacify people in the moment, and it lacked a lot of features that people were looking for, and there's disappointment. But after people had started using it, a lot of videos came out saying this is why everyone's wrong about the EOS R, and here's why it's actually a good camera. And after doing the research, this is kind of exactly what I needed. It lacks a couple things that I wish it had. I'll just run through the plus things for me, and then I'll run through the negatives and why I bought it. First of all, the price. Like this, I could get this camera as well as a 16-35 with the adapter and everything for around the same price as like an R6 body. And I bought this secondhand, but it was barely used, and that's how I buy most of my camera gear. I get it used. I don't buy new because it just depreciates so quickly. A lot of times when I do buy used and I go to resell, I can get close to what I paid for it because I took the time to find someone who had a like new piece of camera gear that I saved a ton of money on. So this, if I was to buy this camera new, it still would be a lot cheaper than the newer cameras that came out, but buying it used as well it gave me even more flexibility as far as money goes. And so I was able to get this. I was able to get 16-35, and yeah, it was around the same price as the R6 body that I had pre-ordered. Battery grip, everything. That was a big thing for me. I got almost kind of risky when I ordered the R6, thinking, you know, it's first brand new camera I'm ever gonna buy. I've never bought brand new before, you know, this is gonna be awesome. Yeah, just I wasn't 100%. I didn't feel great about it after a couple days of thinking about it. So this made way more sense. And I am a photographer first, so the 30 megapixels in this over the 20 on the R6 was, I mean, that's great. Not that megapixels are a big deal. People talk about how important it is to have high megapixel count, but it's not the biggest deal. 20 would have been fine, but the 30 is nice to have. And it's not overkill where you are losing low light capabilities and that kind of thing. So 30 megapixels is great. It's kind of basically a 5D Mark IV, which takes beautiful photos. Me being a photographer first, that was great. The electronic viewfinder is also amazing. I've always used DSLRs where I'm always watching the like exposure meter, I guess, and to find and to get the proper exposure when I'm shooting manual, because I usually shoot manual. But with this, it's great because you can see the image getting more exposed or less exposed right in the viewfinder. And yeah, that's super helpful, especially when you're shooting in lower light and you're not quite sure the exposure you're getting. Sometimes that exposure meter on the DSLRs isn't completely accurate and you don't get exactly what you're wanting. So that's great. Another thing is the video. I usually shoot 1080 for a couple reasons. This camera I'm filming on right now is my 80D. I shoot 1080 on that all the time because that's all it has. But I don't need 4K for anything, really. YouTube, you don't really need to shoot in 4K. At least that's my personal opinion. For the weddings I do, most people don't view their videos in 4K. But what I do is I take my 1080 and when I export, I upscale to 4K, and it just adds that extra crispiness and it looks a little better, even if you're watching it on a 1080 monitor. But this shoots IPV and all-I. All-I is better for editing and it's higher bit rates, and the R6 does not do that. It's only IPV. And the bit rates are a lot less. This camera has some impressive 1080 bit rates. It does shoot 4K, there's a crop. I've tested it a couple times. I'm probably not gonna use it much, but the 1080 on this thing, you can go 1080, 24, 30, 60. I've gotten used to shooting 60p on the 80D, and it works really well. When you do upscale that super high bit rate to 4K, it looks really good and it doesn't fall apart. This comes with C-Log as well. I was also looking at the 1DX2, which is just a beast of a camera all around, but it didn't have C-Log, and it's a huge camera as well. Like it's so massive, heavy, and I've found that especially when I travel, having a massive camera is one of the worst things you can take with you while traveling. It's great to get photos, but for the majority of the time when you're actually moving and going to different places, having a smaller camera is such a better option. But the video features, yeah, are amazing. It's got, of course, Canon's autofocus as always. It's got the flip out screen, which is another big thing over the 1DX. R6 has that as well, but I mean, it really came down to the bitrate issues and overheating issues with the R6 as far as video goes. I want a camera that works and I can pick up and I can just use it. And this camera's been around for a couple years, and so a lot of people have used it and tested it and done reviews on it. And it's shown me that, you know, it is one of those cameras that just works. It does have those drawbacks, it does have those tech specs that, or the lack of tech specs that people are looking for, but for me, it works great. Another reason that I shoot mostly 1080 is because my computer is older and it's a maxed out MacBook, but it's an older version. It's better to edit 1080 on it than 4K. 4K, I haven't done a ton of 4K editing on it, but I mean, with drone footage and stuff like that, it doesn't work. But DJI drone footage is just bad all around for editing. But yeah, that's another reason, just the editing factor. Like 1080 works great, and if you have high bit rate, it can look really good. So so far what I've shot with this, I'm really impressed. I'm really happy with how crisp it is. I like the ability to color grade the log profile, make my own LUTs, everything like that, and it just works really well. The downsides that I would say as far as for my needs would be since I am a photographer first, the lack of continuous shooting speed. You get 8 frames per second when you are in one-shot focus, so there's no servo focus adjusting to the movement of the subject, which 8 frames is not bad, but if I wanted to do servo focus, where if it's a moving subject and adjust focuses as we go, I think it goes down to 5 frames per second. My 80D stays in 7, it doesn't matter what focusing mode you're in, and it stays pretty quick, and 7-8 frames a second isn't the fastest out there. The R6 does have 12 and then 20 electronically, which is crazy, but that's the one thing with this that I would have a complaint about as far as my needs go. I mean, I'm gonna keep using it, and so far it's been workable. It hasn't been an issue. I am glad I bought the adapter, the RF to EF adapter to go on this body so I can use all my EF lenses. That's great because RF glass right now is extremely expensive. And that was another reason I was hesitant to go to an R series camera, whether it be this one or the R6, but the adapter makes it seamless. It makes the lenses a little bit bigger, but I mean, the amount of money you save with using your RF or your EF glass instead of your RF glass is a big plus for me as well, because I just don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to spend on gear. I want to be really meticulous with what I buy and make sure that I'm making the right choice when I do purchase. So yeah, I mean, this being my first full frame camera, I love it. Like, the image quality is amazing. The video is amazing for what I've experienced with video in the past. I haven't always used great cameras. I started on the Canon T3i and I shot a lot of stuff in 720 when I wanted to do slow-mo and that kind of stuff. And this is just such an upgrade from where I have been and what I have shot with in the past. And a lot of people use it, and you can use it for so many things. And I'm not doing crazy high budget productions, nothing like that. A lot of it is for myself, a lot of the stuff I do, which this just works great for. And yeah, it's more compact as well. I wanted to get something smaller for when I do travel. I can take the battery grip off and have a really nice compact body for traveling. And I wanted to get that 16-35 lens to use as well. And that's kind of a great all-around lens. A lot of people really love it. So yeah, I mean, those are kind of my reasons for buying this. I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad I opted out of not getting the R6 and spending that extra almost $2,000. I'm really happy with this, and yeah, I'm going to continue to use it. And you know, maybe down the road when Canon comes up with something different or has fixes to their newer mirrorless cameras, maybe that's something I would upgrade to if I needed it. But for now, I think this is perfect for what I need. But yeah, that's all I've got to say. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for clicking on it and listening to me rant for a bit. Hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully it gave you some insight if you were thinking of upgrading to a different camera, or maybe gave you some thoughts as far as what you can look for based on your needs for whatever you're doing, whether it be photo, video, or both. And yeah, if you want to subscribe, that would be wonderful. If you'd like to like this video, comment below if you'd like to see any other type of video. So yeah, I think that's it. Thank you for watching. One last time, I know I say it a bunch, but I am thankful for people who watch these videos. It's kind of neat to see small amounts of people growing and saying, hey, that's a good video, I really like this, or this is what you could do better. Please critique me as well, because I can't learn unless someone tells me what I'm doing wrong. So yeah, I'd appreciate that as well. But yeah, have a good night or a good day or a good morning wherever in this world that you are, and stay safe. Take care. Bye now.